This is Tales and Whispers, where every story is felt, not just heard.
Today, we're diving into the story of how a single word, just one, no, from a teenager was powerful enough to take on a country's laws and win. This is the incredible true story of Franca Viola.
So I want you to picture this. It's a small town in Sicily, the day after Christmas. You know, everything's quiet, life is moving at a slow pace, and there's that peaceful holiday feeling in the air. But right in the middle of all that quiet, a story of unbelievable defiance was about to unfold. So the big question we're really digging into is this: how on earth did the choice of one 17-year-old girl start a movement that would end up rewriting Italian law?
To figure that out, we've got to go right back to the beginning. Back to the day that changed absolutely everything.
So let's meet Franca Viola. When she was 17, her life probably seemed pretty normal. She was the daughter of local farmers, she had just broken off an engagement with a guy named Filippo Melodia, and she was actually starting to get close with an old childhood friend. You know, it seemed like her life was moving on.
But Filippo, well, he wasn't having it. He completely refused to accept her decision, and what started with him just not taking no for an answer, well, it escalated fast. It turned into a full-blown campaign of threats and non-stop harassment. He was making it crystal clear. Her choice meant nothing to him.
And then, things took a truly horrifying turn. Filippo showed up at her house, but he wasn't alone. No, he brought 11 other men with him. They dragged Franca right out of her own home, kidnapped her, and held her captive for 8 long days. In his mind, this violent act would force her hand, leaving her with no other option.
So why was he so sure this would work? Well, it's because he thought he had more than just social pressure on his side. He thought he had the law. And this is the legal and social trap that Franca was now caught in. And this gets to the absolute core of the problem. A law called Article 54. And you're not going to believe this law. It basically created a get-out-of-jail-free card for criminals. A man could kidnap and assault a woman and have all the charges against him just disappear. The only condition? He had to marry her. The twisted logic was that this rehabilitating marriage would somehow restore her honor. So you can imagine Franca was staring down 2 completely different futures. The path everyone expected her to take involved a forced marriage, total silence, and watching her attacker's crime get legally erased. But then there was this other path, an almost unimaginable one, fighting back in court, testifying in public, and demanding real justice.
And this brings us to the exact moment that would send shockwaves across all of Italy. The moment Franca made her decision.
So when the police finally rescued her, everyone, the community, the authorities, pretty much the whole town, they all expected one thing: a quiet wedding to just make the whole problem go away. But Franca gave them a single, powerful, and completely shocking answer: no.
She said no to the marriage. She said no to being silenced. Instead of letting society and a broken law decide her fate, Franca Viola did something that was almost unthinkable back then. She chose to press charges against the man who kidnapped and assaulted her.
Now this decision came with a heavy, heavy price. Her own community turned on her. Her family was put under unbelievable pressure to back down, to get her to accept the marriage and drop the whole thing. But in that huge storm of judgment, one person stood right by her side: her father. His support was absolutely everything. So what happens when one person stands up to an entire system like that? Let's look at what happened next, both in the courtroom and in her life.
The trial was a huge deal. It became a national sensation. All of Italy was glued to this story. And in the end, justice was served. Filippo Melodia was found guilty and sentenced to 11 years in prison. It was a massive victory against a system that was so deeply broken.
As for Filippo, well, his story has a pretty grim ending. Years after he was released from prison, he was killed in what was described as a mafia-style execution.
But what about Franca? Did she get her life back? Oh yeah, she went on to build the life she wanted. In 1968, she married her childhood love, Giuseppe Ruizzi, and his commitment to her was just incredible. When he insisted on marrying her, he told her, "I'd rather live 10 years with you than a whole life with another." She finally got her happiness, completely on her own terms.
But her story is so much bigger than that. Her personal stand had sparked a national movement, and it was about to force the entire country to change.
You can literally trace the impact of that one word, no, through the decades. Her trial in '66 got the whole country talking. Then 15 years later, in 1981, that horrible law, Article 544, was finally thrown out. That momentum led to another huge change in '96, when assault was finally seen for what it is, a crime against a person, not just public morals. And finally, in 2014, the very nation she helped change officially honored Franca Viola for her incredible courage.
So what's the big takeaway here? Franca's story completely flipped the script on what honor really means. It taught everyone that real honor isn't about some forced marriage. No, real honor is when society stops blaming the victim, when the law actually holds the criminal accountable, and when a family offers support instead of judgment.
And this brings it all back to us, right here, right now. How can we use this story today? Well, first, we challenge those victim-blaming questions. Instead of asking what someone was doing, we ask the only thing that matters: who caused the harm? Second, if someone comes to you for help, just believe them and listen. And third, be like Franca's father. Be that rock, that support system against all the outside noise.
And that leaves us with one last, tough question to think about. If it were you, facing all that pressure to just be quiet and make it easier for everyone else, would you choose silence or would you choose confrontation?